All right, and welcome to another episode of the Jungle Gyms podcast. I always forget the date, so I'm going to just check my phone. I'm even going
It's
to
it's
pretend
it's the 30th, Gavin.
it is Tuesday, the 30th of November. I'll have you know, Paddy.
Oh,
Um,
my apologies.
6:15, mate. Going to say it, get it right. We are perfectionists. Another episode of the Jungle Gyms, and it's myself and Paddy. Paddy, how you doing, mate? How was your weekend? What did you got up to?
Quiet one, mate. Just working and watching the Celtic. That was it. Boring.
It does sound boring. Well, the Aberdeen game. It was a wee bit boring, wasn't it?
Oh, mate, it's horrendous.
We won, and obviously the return of Scott Brown. I know that you guys did the post-match review, you and McGinty, but it was a bit of a boring game. But we won. That's one of the ones where you just need to come out here with the points. You can't linger too much. You can't focus too much on the actual performance. If you do that for every single week, then you're going to be a frustrated fan. Sometimes it's just all about the 3 points. That's what we got. Onwards and upwards.
I know it was quite funny because me and McGinty were kind of talking before we went live with the podcast. we were actually trying to figure out things to say. It was that much kind of honestly. we're always honest here and open and honest. And it was a real struggle to actually pull out points. But as you said, got the 3 points in the end. That's what that matters. The injuries, Joe Hart survived, thank God. So.
Aye, that's it, mate. Right, okay, so for the viewers, we're going to talk about a few topics tonight. We're going to go over the transfer rumours. Again, the guys we hope to bring in from Japan once Japan relaxes their fucking new COVID laws. Exiting the Europa League and going on to the Europa Conference sexy. Messi won the Ballon d'Or. Does anybody give a fuck? The Celtic and Hearts game coming up this Thursday could be a toughie, definitely a must win. And by the way, the fixture list for December is looking horrific, absolutely horrific. There's about 9 games in the month of December. It's like 2 games every week. It looks, I don't know, but we'll go into it. But the first thing we're going to talk about is the food bank scandal. So this happened on Sunday. Paddy, I know that you've been keeping your ear close to the ground on this one. So do you want to explain to the viewers what the food bank thing is that we actually do, that the North Curve do, and why there's such a furore about it, please?
Well, essentially, it's the Green Brigade that are driving this, and they've been doing so for the last 10 years. They congregate before a chosen match. The chosen match this year was the Aberdeen game on Sunday, and what they do is they come in weeks before that. They ask everyone who can help out to bring food parcels, food packages, whatever they can. It's for the needy in the community, for people that's kind of struggling, people that's no got food essentially, and it's to help them survive over Christmas, which is a hard time for a lot of people. So what happened is on a Sunday was the chosen match where the Green Brigade were congregating to bring their food packages and whatnot. So what they do is they bring in a couple of vans to obviously load up the stuff and transport it away to dish it out. And what happened was that as they were parked there, they were approached by a couple of local police on bikes, asking them what they were doing, and they says that, listen, I'm doing this for 10 years. Well, I've got the vans here to help take away the packages. So that was fine. So they basically asked if they had permission. This kind of thing. They said Celtic had given them permission. Then they were on their way, and then about 20 minutes later, another couple of police came along. And according to the reports for the guys that were there, they were kind of hassling the people that had turned up. So that was that. They went away again, and then shortly after, a couple of parking wardens came along. Basically told the guys to move their vans. They says, look, the vans are here. They're picking up food collections, food parcels for people that need it in the bloody community. Give them a minute. And at that point, they were told, listen, nah, these are impeding emergency vehicles. So they ended up issuing them with £60 fines each van, it's a bloody disgrace, an absolute bloody disgrace. And if everybody knows the outside of Celtic Park, the vans were on the start of the Celtic way. There's
And that was 4 vans in total then? 4 vans each with a
four vans,
£60
mate,
fine?
mm-hmm.
See, whenever you hear that, and it's bloody obvious that people are doing good deeds for the community, but yet bureaucracy interferes with that, and they still implement their laws and they still fine people, it really, really winds you up. And what pisses me off is that the wider media, the tabloids and whoever else, they've not been running with it and try to kind of show how bad that looks on both the council and on Police Scotland. You can tell that we're just after finished that Tommy Sheridan podcast for last week because I think we're still buzzing from it. But really, really pissed me off hearing that. Paddy,
it's even worse as well, Gav, because see the parking wardens. The parking wardens actually claimed that it was Celtic themselves that had complained about the guys to move away. So what had happened was somebody got in contact with John Paul Taylor, who's the fans liaison, and he says that there was absolutely no complaint by Celtic whatsoever. So to me, I mean, it's just the usual arseholes with badges kind of exerting their authority. It's horrible, do you know what I mean? Because it's been going on for 10 years. It's been going on for 10 years, this food drive.
And it's for all the west of Scotland. All the west of Scotland.
Mate, the police at London Road know exactly what's happening, what's going on, why it is, what it's for, and they're still harassing these guys. It's shocking. Right. It's absolutely shocking.
I was reading a response for the council about it, so I'll just kind of read out to you what I can see here. Just reading from my phone, but it says that parking restrictions are in place around Celtic Park on match day to ensure that key routes are kept clear for emergency service vehicles at all time. So on Sunday, during the Aberdeen game, I think it was before, of course, but on Sunday, Police Scotland made a parking enforcement team aware of a number of vehicles parked on London Road next to Celtic Park, and they were in breach of these restrictions. Our parking attendees spoke to the drivers of the vehicles and asked that they move on from the restricted area. And only when the drivers refused to move on were penalty charge notices issued against the vehicles blocking a route for emergency vehicles on that day. And they finish off by saying, we received no request for a dispensation for the vehicles to be parked at this location at this time, but we will liaise with the club and Police Scotland to ensure such vehicles can be parked appropriately in the future. It sounds like there's a bit of contrasting information here, because from what I understand it is they've been doing it in the same location for the past 10 years. So why was it on Sunday that it became a problem? It stinks. Somebody's telling lies, and whether it's Police Scotland or whether it's the council, they both look as if they're blaming each other. Nobody's taking responsibility for it. This should have been pre-agreed beforehand. As I said, you should be able to get through all this bureaucracy and this red tape and allow good deeds to go ahead without the police having to stick their nose in. It stinks. It absolutely stinks. And the people who are missing out are the people who are in need of this food. You know what I mean? It's the month of December. It fucking stinks. It really does, mate.
Well, I mean, this is the thing, mate. See, even if there was an issue with the vans being parked there, no, somebody needs to use their fucking common sense. If guys are parked there collecting food for the needy, give them a break, for fuck's sake. Don't come up and start annoying them, start hassling them, telling them that they're going to get their vans towed away. I mean, Del for the Celtic Supporters podcast, his messages, that there was a parking warden seen on social media posting about getting Celtic fans' cars towed. Come on. What's that all about? So obviously the police have come by, done their usual, stuck their neb in and went away and phoned for the parking wardens to come out. You know what I mean? So even if the parking wardens come out, mate, tell the guys, look, we're here collecting food parcels for people that can't afford fucking food. Have a heart. It's for Christmas. But no, these wee jumped up hitlers just want to, as I say, exert their authority. So there's guys that have went out their way to organise, to help people, and they've now been hit with £60 fines each. And I know a lot of good-hearted people have offered to pay the fines, which is magnificent. But the guys had already paid the fines before obviously they were getting messages to say, look, we'll help you out, we'll pay for it. They say, no, fair play to them. But no, it stinks, mate. It stinks. And you think what was behind them, the stadium at Celtic, and you look at the club why they were formed. They were formed to feed the poor people in the neighbourhood. Not just Celtic supporters, not just Irish, Catholics, whatever. It was for everybody. You know what I mean? And we're trying to carry on that tradition, and we're trying to do that in a period where people are experiencing real extreme hardships. And you've got that happening, and you've got clowns like John Mason, who's a local MSP for Celtic, who's actually tweeting after it, well, why couldn't they have parked legally? So do you want these... London Road's been cordoned off for bikes, right? They've put the daft wee hedgehogs in for a bike lane, right? Where are the guys supposed to park the vans? Are they supposed to park in Brigton and walk along with 25 bags each? Come on.
Yeah. If that councillor is trying to canvass for votes in that area, he's not going to get much support after showing his true colours with that bloody tweet. Disgusting, it really is. Aye. Well, we've said that piece anyway. It's good that we're highlighting it as much as the other Celtic podcasts are doing, and showing how shameful that was on Sunday.
Aye, and that's exactly what it should be, mate. It should be ashamed of herself. Should really go and look at herself in the mirror and just fucking go and take a fuck to herself. Excuse my language.
I know. And this is where your taxpaying money is going to. Like, exactly. What's the purpose? What does it achieve? Exactly. Right. Anyway, mate. Let's move on from that. Now, I know that you and McGinty had covered the. I know that you and McGinty had covered the Aberdeen game. I know, but you're about to blow the roof, aren't you?
What's that?
You're about to blow the roof. For the viewers who don't know, Paddy's roof blew off during Storm Arwen. You managed to patch it back on, aye?
Aye, I had to spend the weekend doing a wee bit of work in the back, but aye, it was all sorted. So I was actually doing work while I was looking at the telly, and also I was multitasking, which most the wife tell me I can't do, like, you know what I mean. So
you're doing well, pal. Right, okay. So what I wanted to ask you was, or touch on, was exiting the Europa League. So we've still got one more game to go against Betis, and that's going to be Parkhead. It'll be nice to have them over. I don't really know if the Spaniards are going to make the trip over to Scotland with all the kind of COVID rearing its head again with the new the new mutation. But why am I talking about COVID right now? But anyway, I wanted to ask your thoughts on this. So we've played a few decent teams. We played Betis, which was that kind of romantic tie. Great seeing the Celtic boys going over there and having a good game. And then obviously we went over to Leverkusen and we lost 3-2, and that was another entertaining game, another illuminating game, showing the strengths and the flaws of Celtic. And obviously we had Ferencváros. So I wanted to get your thoughts about Celtic and their performance in that. So was it a difficult draw? Was it something that it came too early for Ange's men? And what do you take from it, the positives going forward, mate?
It was certainly a difficult draw, and we all kind of looked at that on paper, and you looked at Leverkusen being the kind of the big boys of that group, and we were kind of hopefully, that we could have maybe a Betis and took second place. It's not happened that way, and the Betis game basically comes as a kind of moot point now. But there's definitely positives to be taken. There's definitely negatives to be taken. I think the positives that can be taken is that we've shown that we can be an attacking force. We got the goals in Betis away from home. We got the goals in Leverkusen away from home, which is something that we historically don't do, is go away from home in Europe and score kind of more than one goal in a game if we're lucky.
We did uphold one tradition away in Europe, and that's we always let in goals. So what was it? 4? We let in 4 in Seville against Betis, and we let in 3 against Leverkusen. And obviously we did Leverkusen the massive favourite, Parkhead, by shipping in 4. Fucking hell! Do you think? But in saying that, do you think we learned any? Like obviously in Seville against Betis, we lose the game 4-3, but we were up against them, and then we shipped a shitload of goals, and then in Leverkusen, we're up against them with about 10 minutes to go, and then we go from a winning position to a losing position. Do you think we learned any lessons following up from the Betis game, or was it a case of, for me it was, we looked dead on our feet That's why Beaton came off, because he had the head injury, and we took off our front three. Forrest, he was just coming back from a long-term injury anyway, so he's not really going to have the fitness to last the full 90. Kyogre was running about all night. Maybe he had to come off, and Jota, maybe he was fading as well. I think rather than learning lessons, it was just that we were that fucked, and we brought on these subs, and they weren't good enough as the people that they'd replaced. What was your thoughts?
Well, you look at a couple of things. Number one, no in any particular order, but one thing is that it shows that we don't have a squad depth to play Andy's system, because, as you say, for the game against Leverkusen, the front three of ours it caused them problems. We ended up ahead, and then we made a few changes, especially the second kind of round of changes. We brought on 3 players, which was Johnson, Ajeti, and who else was it? I can't remember. But anyway, my point is that we basically changed the entire front three.
Abada came on.
Abada came on for Forrest earlier on, I think, didn't he?
No. Earlier on, Beaton came off for McCarthy, and then we took off our front three.
Oh, so it was Beaton. Sorry.
Yeah.
So he changed the full front three, and right away there was a real drop in quality. And it showed that
there was no out ball. We couldn't hold the ball up, man. So it was just coming back at us in waves.
No, I know, but that ties into the question that you asked me. It tells you about the squad, the depth in squad, and for where we started at the start of the Euro campaign, with one of the worst benches you've ever seen, in terms of quality, in terms of personnel. We've actually progressed a wee bit beyond that, because we've got better players into the bench, but it tells you that the squad depth still isn't good enough, because we changed the front three, and then the other front three that came on just completely did hee-haw.
Yeah.
As well as your usual glaring defensive mistakes. We're still making the same mistake time after time after time. We can't hold on to a lead. So I'm hoping that Ange is taking a real kind of education for that group stage, and the fact that he needs to learn that his attacking play is as noble as it is. He needs to be able to
manage games.
He needs to be able to drop it at times and say, look, we're 2-1 up, 10, 12 minutes to go. Just shore it up, tighten it up, and stop trying to fucking go and attack, especially when you've not got the players to go and do it. But is he going to learn that? Is he going to change it? Is that something he's going to try and implement into his ideas when he eventually beefs up his squad? I don't know, because it doesn't look to me as if he's defensively minded. He's told us that. So he basically said I couldn't care less about the defence. I don't coach defenders, so
I think he said he doesn't enjoy it. He doesn't enjoy it, not that he doesn't care. Come on.
Well, same thing.
Aye. I think in his post-match interview, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm probably going to butcher his words here, but I think he said something along the lines of the substitutions that I made were ineffectual, and that's on me. So it might have been a veiled swipe to the board to say, look, I need more players. The guys I've got in depth are not good enough. But he does kind of try to take responsibility as well for when it doesn't go away, such as whenever going back like a month or so ago, whenever Giamakis missed that penalty, and he said, well, it was me who told him to take the penalty. I think sometimes he's happy to take responsibility and not throw his players under a bus like other people that we're familiar with. But it is what it is. It was a difficult draw, I'll agree with you, but you should be relishing that as professionals. I think lessons will be learnt, especially against Leverkusen, for us to go away and take 2 goals and put the frighteners up them. Their supporters were not enjoying that game up until the last 10 minutes. I think we'll all agree on that. So there's lessons to be learned. In fact, in Jota, going back to the Betis game away in Seville, Jota, he had an interview with like Celtic Fan TV. Was that one where somebody pushed an eye and blew up in his face? And one of the questions was, did you see him? He's like, I don't drink alcohol and I don't like fizzy juice. I just drink water, man. He must be a party animal, that man. But
I've just, I've just got images now of Jota dancing about in his house to George Michael with a bottle of sparkling water, like, you know what I mean, having a time of his life.
Most likely. Aye, but one of the questions that was asked, what's your favourite game been for Celtic? And he said that his favourite game was losing to Betis in Seville. And I don't know if it's because I think that was the first game that we really saw what he was about. And I can understand why he enjoyed it so much, even though we lost the game. I get that, and I hope that we learn lessons. I'm pretty sure that we will do. There's a lot of positives to take away, and certainly we beat Ferencvaros in the double header. We did what we had to do against them. We just failed to meet the grade against the best teams. So yeah, I agree it was a difficult draw. Did it come too early for Celtic in the season with
Oh,
Ange
God,
Ball?
aye,
Yeah,
of course it did.
yeah,
Of course it did.
yeah. And aye, we'll take plenty of positives away from that. So we're dropping into the Europa Sexy. I know that there's one more game to go in the Europa League, but we know our fate. We're moving into the third tier. Now, why do I call it Europa Sexy? It's because I'm trying to be ironic. I am pulling my hair out, or what hair I have left, because of the poor marketing skills at UEFA's disposal, because back in the day you had the European Cup, the European Cup winners, and you had the UEFA Cup. There was a bit of prestige with all those tournaments, but now everybody just cares about the Champions League because it's all about money. And you've got the Europa Conference League. It sounds shite. Is it shite? Aye, it's probably shite. I'll read you a couple of names of people that we might be up against dropping into this. I don't really know how it works, man. Just a bit like that Nations League that Scotland played in. Do not understand it. So teams that we might come up against, we've got Basel, we've got Partizan Belgrade, we've got Rennes, who we've played a couple of times, we've got Spurs. They're doing absolutely shite. I would hope that Spurs do not prioritise the Europa Sexy whatsoever. You've got Feyenoord. Is that Gio's old team, Feyenoord?
Gio what?
Gio Prickhead. I don't know why I
Va,
called him that.
Van Stonshorst. Aye,
Yes,
that's
yes,
his team.
yes.
Aye.
Aye, Feyenoord. You've got Slavia Prague, you've got Copenhagen, you've got Cluj, and you've got Roma. Jose Mourinho's Roma. Aye, so a mixed bag. It's not going to be complete and utter muppets that you're going to come up against in this tournament anyway. Do you give a shit about Europa Conference? But it's football after Christmas. It's European football after Christmas. You kind of excited about it. Like we want to do well. We want to do well no matter what competition. It's not like I don't know. I was trying to think of that other shitey. It's not like the Intertoto Cup. Put it that way. I want to see us do well. I still have a level of excitement for the Europa Sexy. What's your thoughts?
I obviously want to see us doing well in every competition, but for me, I'm no particularly. I'm no enthralled by it. It's as I'm just. I've said it on here before. I'm solely focused on domestic duties this season. But if we can get a few games after Christmas, aye, great. It's always great for the fans to go and have an away day.
And it's an income. It's an income for the club as well. Let's not forget that.
The only team that I would kind of like to avoid just now, just be thinking about it, might be Spurs, because I don't know if Carter Vickers might be cup time for it because he's on loan for Spurs. I don't know if that's the case, but I'd like to see us get Roma. Actually, I'd like to see how we go on against Mourinho, because we owe that bastard one.
Tammy Abraham is doing quite well for Roma right now. But that'd be a glamour tie.
Is that the boy that signed for Chelsea?
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Aye. Fuck it. As I said, it's an income. It's European football after Christmas, and it's more exposure to the European environment for our players.
It's more experience, isn't it? So it can only be good in the long run, especially like for the likes of next season. If we're hoping to try and win the league and try and get into the Champions League proper, then I'm sure a few more games at European level won't kill us.
I know, absolutely. And talking about the wider environment of football, Messi won the Ballon d'Or I think I found out on Sunday, and my phone got a wee text that said that it was Messi who'd won it. Surprise, surprise, that's his 7th one. Genuinely, are you surprised? And I don't know. I'm not saying like I dislike the guy, but I don't really give a shit anymore. It was just pass the parcel between him and Ronaldo. The only person who broke it up was Modric. There was an argument.
That's
There was
right.
an argument that I know that Jorginho is not the most talented footballer in the world, but he won the Champions League with Chelsea, and then he won he beat England in the Euros in the summer for Italy. So he won two massive tournaments. Is that not good enough? Lewandowski, stats wise, goals wise, he put Messi to shame in the last year. But it's Messi. And I remember we're talking to Tommy Sheridan in the last episode. By the way, viewers, if you've not seen it, watch it, please. Talking to Tommy Sheridan about it and about the hypocrisy and the governing bodies and stuff like that. I think it's all about politics at the end of the day. There's some people who are more deserving, who have a better year, but it's always fucking Messi or Ronaldo.
Aye, I've quite frankly couldn't give a shit about it. It just seems to be that, as you say, it's been solely between Ronaldo and Messi. I think actually Messi came out and said that Lewandowski deserved it.
Yes,
So if the guy that's won it is actually saying it in his acceptance speech, by the way, there's the guy there that should have won it. Well, what does that tell you? I think
he should have given it to Lewandowski.
like an Oscar, like no, you take
No,
that
but
one.
I know that I'm being kind of like tongue in cheek there, but do you remember? Was it George Weir? Was it George Weir who played for Monaco and he won it? And when he accepted it at the acceptance speech, he gave it to his manager, who was Arsene Wenger. He says, "I don't deserve it, coach. You deserve it." Do you remember that? Have you seen the clip? It was George Weir, wasn't it?
No, I don't remember that one. Mate. No.
I am pretty sure. If I'm wrong, somebody tell me. Because I don't want to look like a fool, but I am pretty sure that he won it at Monaco and he gave it to Arsene Wenger, and Arsene Wenger actually took it. The fucking thief.
Merci.
Why not, man? Why not?
No, I think it's just been a campaign this year to get Messi to win it, so that he's got more Ballon d'Ors than Ronaldo, probably.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I can see he won it. But as I say, nah, it's all the shit.
I don't know. You know that Jinky came 3rd place back in 1967, I think it was. Either that or 1968, one of the two. 3rd place.
Well, if I'd have been alive in 1967 or 68, I'd have been like, I love the Ballon d'Or. Come on, Jinky, let's do it.
Yeah. Aye, you'd be hijacking all the social media sites and voting for him.
Absolutely. Aye, 1968, I'd have been fucking dialing up the hotline.
Oh man, kids nowadays will never know what we are talking about.
Remember the dial-up tone when you're trying to plug your internet in? Jesus.
It was weird. It was like a fucking Dalek song. Aye.
So it was, wasn't it?
Right, moving on for that, mate. What are we going to talk about? Right, the upcoming fixtures. Now, December is looking horrible. I'm going to go through that. But before we talk about December in its fullness, because that is leading us up until the Celtic and Rangers game on the 2nd of January. But a wee preview on the Hearts game. So Hearts is on Thursday night. I'm not too sure if it's going to be televised. I really hope it is televised, but it's at Parkhead this Thursday. Celtic against Hearts. I think Hearts are only 2 points behind us in the league. I said it earlier on in one of the previous episodes. I do take it for granted that Hearts will drop points. I'm not concerned about them at all. It's Rangers that we need to overtake. However, it's certainly incumbent on us to actually take points off Hearts as well as the other teams. So yeah.
Well, in terms of Hearts are sitting 3rd in the league just now. They're on 27 points. We've got 29 points, but Hearts have played 15 games and we've played 14.
Yeah. So we've got a game in hand. What I heard today is that I don't know if you remember his performance in the last game that we played against them. They've got an on loan guy for Everton. His name is Bannon Gimme the ball. On loan for Everton, and he's actually pretty good. He did have a bit of presence about him. So he's out. He's going to be injured for the game. I'm sure Andy Halliday will try and go about hacking people as usual. Mind he almost broke Cal McGregor's leg in the first game of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's just in typical Halliday scum fashion. Just sticking his foot in where it doesn't belong, trying to injure people. He's just a horrible wee man with a horrible wee face. So I'm hoping that possibly Ralston maybe gives him a nice tackle somewhere if he's playing. I don't even think he's that good enough to be playing anyway. But if he does, then hopefully he goes off.
That's true. That's true.
But you've always got a bit of a test with Hearts. I know they've come up for the Championship this season, but they've shown that they're a decent Scottish top flight team. They're sitting third, which is good, obviously, for a team that's just come up.
Yeah.
So they have got the ability to stifle you and mix it up. But I think if we've had our first game there after the European game, and I felt the Aberdeen game was a bit like a Euro hangover game. You know, the kind of times that we used to come back away from Europe, we'd kind of gave our all, and then we were showing lots of fatigue. I felt that at the Aberdeen game. But now that that's out the road and we've had a couple of days rest, I'm hoping that we can turn back on the form at Celtic Park again. That game will be under the floodlights. It's going to be on Sky Sports. Know that I'm advertising Sky whatsoever. Fuck Sky. If you've got illegal streams, please go and use them. I'm hoping to see a decent performance, especially after that kind of drab and flat game against Aberdeen. But more importantly, 3 points on the board. That's the most important thing. That's what we need.
Yeah. So just to kind of recap the past games against Hearts. So in the open game of the season, we were caught a bit cold. And on that tighter pitch at Midlothian, we were lost 2-1, I believe it was. But then we played Hearts a few weeks later back at Parkhead, and that was in the cup fixture. I think we beat them. 3-2.
We did beat them.
Because we battered them, and they
I'm sure we were 3-0 up, and then they scored 2 goals in the last maybe 5-6 minutes. I know Boyce scored a goal. I can't actually remember who else it was, but they scored a couple of last-minute goals to take away the shine for how good we were, because we really played well that day.
We were exceptional, especially with a wider pitch at our disposal. We made use of it, and Hearts at that part where they were floundering. As you said, they're a good team for to come up, a newly promoted team. They are good. I'll make no bones about that. But we've got their number at Parkhead, I believe. I don't think that they'll be overly defensive. So, and as I said, they've got their midfielder out, who's quite a big presence for them. So let's go for it. I heard also that Rogic is going to be fit for that. If that is the case, then we might not even miss Beaton being out, because then we can play Turnbull, Rogic, and McGregor in the midfield.
No, Postecoglou said in his post-match interview that Rogic will definitely be back for Thursday. So that's a massive bonus, because I'm actually hoping that the one that drops out of the midfield three is Turnbull. I think he needs, I don't want to say rested, because I don't think it should be as nice as that. I think he needs dropped. I think he's been absolutely awful. Other than a few kind of fleeting moments here and there, I think he's been terrible. I don't think he's shown enough desire. So, bring Rogic back in, drop Turnbull, and I would actually go with McCarthy. I'd go with McCarthy, McGregor, and Rogic.
I was going to ask you that. I was listening earlier on to the episode that you did with McGinty for the Celtic and Aberdeen one, and I don't think you guys gave McCarthy too many compliments, apart from maybe the pass that led to the second goal for Celtic. So, for me, too early to write McCarthy off. We've got a 4-year contract on the boy. It'd be a financial mistake to get rid of him now. We've committed. It's still early in the season. He's still coming up to speed. We can't. The jury for me is still out on him. We can't make our mind up, but give him a few more games, and if he's still not cutting the mustard, then put him out to pasture for a bit and let somebody else come back in.
Well, that's partly one of the reasons why I want to see him, because I said that the other day there. I wasn't a fan of him in the first half. I don't think he did enough. I don't think he imposed himself on the game. I don't think he really did anything but maybe collect the ball deep and kind of pass an easy pass sideways. The second half, he grew into the game. As I say, he was more involved in the ball. His passing was a lot crisper. And then, of course, the the moment that he popped up to well, I would call it an assist to bring the play into the Aberdeen box where it eventually went in off McGregor's arse.
Yes,
But
yes.
that was actually a lovely wee piece of skill for McCarthy, because he faked a shot, brought it inside. Beautiful wee slip ball through to Abada, who obviously tried to go over the keeper, came out, and then thank you very much to Johnny Hayes for the proper assist, doing his old team a nice favour there. So thanks very much. But aye, as you say, he's got a good reputation, a good experience. So I think now is the time to maybe give him a wee run of games. And definitely, aye, just play him, get Turnbull on the bench and get Rogic back in, because Rogic is the man, the only one there that can make anything happen for the midfield. Driving forward, busting into the box, creating space. That's
it. Aye. We've kind of stumbled on without him in the past month or so. We've the only bad result was the draw away to Livingston. At home to Livingston. Home to Livingston. It was a draw, but apart from that, we've still kind of kept churning out the victories anyway. But yeah, he does complement our play much more, and I think we've noticed that Kyogre is much less effective whenever he doesn't have someone who's smart enough to play the pass first time when he makes the run. We need Rogic for that, because I think Turnbull, while he might see the pass, he doesn't have the confidence enough to execute it. Maybe that will come in a few years. But if he's not doing it now, then we need Rogic to do that. We need someone to complement Kyogre, because Kyogo's been wasted, I believe, to an extent. The only person who's really complimenting him right now is Jota, and Jota's class.
That's what I'd say the other day, Gav. When you've got Kyogre playing through the front on his own, and generally you've got Jota on the left and say Abada on the right, that's fine, because these guys are getting involved, they're getting the ball into Kyogre, but you can't just rely on that, because these guys are having to cut inside and put a cross on, or try and drive through the centre and slip in a pass to Kyogre, which is hard to do. But when you look at the three behind Kyogre, which is generally Turnbull at the kind of top of that wee pyramid, or Rogic. Turnbull or Rogic. When it's no Rogic and it's Turnbull isn't driving forward enough. He's not giving Kyogre any support behind him. He's not using. He's not creating any space. He's not making any overlaps. He's no. I don't know if he's not fit enough, but he's definitely no using any invention to actually maybe even try and run by Kyogre. So is it Kyogo's the one that's kind of dropping a wee bit deeper? Kyogo's just been left up top on his own, which is it's rotten. He's getting left against 3 and 4 men. You know, yeah. I don't know how anybody can expect him to perform and score goals at a level that he has been when he's getting no support other than what he's getting for the outside.
Yeah, I agree. He can do the magic as long as we give him the platform to perform. And at the moment, he's been stifled to an extent. He's been suffocated. I think Jota is really good for him. Obviously, Rogic is really good for him. I think Forrest is a better foil for him than Abada. And I think we're going to see more of Forrest.
If Forrest fit, I'd have Forrest in before Abada, because personally, I didn't want to say it last week. I didn't want to sound very doom and gloom, but I think Abada's been absolutely push. And I know people say that he's only turned 19 or 20 or whatever. It's a new season, this and that, but I don't think he offers anything. I really don't. I know that he does offer it. Sorry, I'll rephrase it. I know that he does offer it. He can offer it, but I don't think he has been offering it enough. He'll maybe show his flashes and maybe like a wee minute here and a wee minute there, but he doesn't do it regularly enough to make.
It's hot and cold.
To make a great impact on the team. You look at the impact that Jota's made and how much a focal point he is in the team. That's amazing, and I'm not expecting anybody like another Jota on the right. But what you're going to get out of Forrest, who is another guy that's pretty divisive, but he's a guy that's direct and he'll drive and he'll be able to get the yards up the pitch. He'll be able to cut inside. He'll be able to kind of move in a wee bit. He'll come in, take a shot. He's got that intelligence and experience enough that he can maybe slot a pass through to Kyogre, and he can definitely get beside Kyogre. But Abada doesn't. Abada just kind of, I don't know.
What I'll say, mate, is, as you said, you alluded to his age. So he's 20 years old. If you compare him to Forrest, when Forrest was about that age. I think he's ahead of Forrest in terms of progress when Forrest was that age. It's going to be hot and cold, and that's okay. We understand that. I think if you compare him to Jota's 22 already. He's a much more confident player, and I know that this might sound like I'm talking shite, but he's multilingual. You get how he talks in front of the camera, how he interacts with other people. He's a naturally confident player. He knows his worth. He's very, very good on the ball. He knows his worth to the team. He knows that he's a leader already on the park. I think comparing him to Abada to Jota is polar opposites. Abada is, as we said, 20 years old. Don't think he speaks English. I just think he's a less confident person, and he's still got a few years to go before we see the best of him. So, but we'll stick with him as a squad player, of course. But Forrest, automatically, he trumps him in terms of seniority.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Seniority, what he brings to the team, what he brings to the dressing room. To be honest, I don't really know what Forrest brings to the dressing room. It sounds like an idiot every time I hear him talking, but he's a great servant for Celtic.
I'll tell you what he doesn't bring to the dressing room: a neck.
A neck. Oh, yeah, that's true.
He doesn't have a neck. It's pure dreams.
Aye, well, Joe Hart makes up for that.
Aye, certainly does. Thank you.
Right. Moving on to hopefully this will lead in naturally to the next thing. I was talking about at the start the calendar fixture list for the month of December. It looks horrible. Now, what I said in terms of us going into February, which I believe are the championship months for the season, it's very, very pivotal between now and then. We obviously win as many fucking games as possible. That seems like a nonsensical statement, but December is going to be pivotal because in the 2nd of January, that's when we entertain Rangers at Parkhead. But between now and then, I'll give you a brief run through of what we've got to look forward to. By the way, the Jungle Gyms are going to be worked off our feet doing all these pre-match podcasts and post-match podcasts. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you. Agree about Turnbull. Thing is, see about Turnbull, without digressing too much, I agree that he's not performing to his maximum capacity. Oh, sorry. For the people who are on Spotify, Joseph Agnew has said, brilliant show, boys. I agree about Turnbull. Hail, hail. So the one big disadvantage, if you take out Turnbull, he's our main set piece taker. He's naturally very good at that. That's the one disadvantage.
Gav, sorry to interrupt there. I heard a stat today in regard to set pieces. I'm glad you brought that up. We've only scored 6 set pieces this season. Scored from 6 set pieces, sorry.
That'll all be corners, wouldn't it? Or like free kicks? Because we've not scored any direct free kicks.
No, it'll be everything. It'll be direct free kicks, corners, the lot. So 6. You know what I mean?
6. Yeah. I think I heard a stat. We're rolling on stats here that about 30%, roughly about 30% of goals come from set pieces. Could be more, but I think roughly about 30%. And we do score a shitload.
Of our goals?
No, just in general, in football. I think before the Aberdeen game, we'd scored about 29 goals, 4. But yeah. So it's a pivotal thing. Set pieces. I would like to see us being more dynamic, and especially at corners. Maybe if Julian comes back, we might be more assertive in other people's boxes.
I would like to see that in all, mate, right? Because I don't think that you can't be that kind of laid back and non-direct. That you can just kind of oversee like scoring for corners, scoring for free kicks. I mean, there was a stat today as well come out, and I actually sent you. I'll just read it out there now.
You're a stat man. You are the stat man.
No, really, mate. I'm actually not. I'm really not into stats, but it makes nice viewing. Hopefully, apparently, Ange Ball is number 1 across 40 leagues for the most ball circulation on a football pitch. Now, Celtic are at number 1 with 12.8 kilometres. Whatever that may be. Then it's Zagreb, Ajax, Bayern Munich, Man City, Sevilla, MSK Zelina, Liverpool, Bodo Glimt and Barcelona. So that tells me that we are focusing solely on moving the ball about rather than kind of being properly direct. That's great. Great that you're getting kind of stats like that, but the stats speak for themselves again when you turn around and see that we've only scored 6 for set pieces. And I think actually probably maybe 2 or 3 of them came for Ralston, because I'm sure he scored a couple of headers.
Have you ever heard a punter shout, "Circulate the balls"?
Gavin, this is a family show.
You fucking brought it up. Ball circulation, folks. You heard it here first.
Yes, Big Angie's balls in our hands.
How many corners have we scored from? It's Turnbull takes the corners. Yeah, I think Stephen Welsh got 1 goal, at least 1 goal at the start of the season from a corner kick. I can't mind if I've scored many other corners. I don't know.
Ralston's definitely scored 2, I think.
Yeah. He scored that diving header against Hibs. Look, we're not going to spend the rest of the night racking our brain about how many set pieces that we've scored. Right, but anyway, December. Was going to run you through it. Okay, so obviously we've got Hearts. That's kicking off the first fixture of December for Celtic. Hearts on the 2nd. Away, we've got Dundee United on the 5th, and then we've got Betis at home on the 9th.
Right.
Back in the league again, at home to Motherwell on the 12th, and then away on the 15th to Ross County. On the 19th at home to Hibs, away to Hibs. On the 22nd, away to St Mirren. On the 26th, Boxing Day, away to St Johnstone. We'll all be hungover for that, guaranteed. And then 29th at home to Hibs. And of course, the 2nd of January at home to Rangers. It's practically, it's 2 games every week. So, and one of them is away to Hibs. It's not away to Hibs, it's at bloody Hampden Park on the 19th of December.
Cup final.
It's cup final. So I wanted to ask you, it's a shitload of games. That's 10 in total, but 9 in the month of December alone. Is our squad big enough to navigate through this? Maybe after January we might be, but what's your gut reaction after hearing that?
It is a lot to take in, and you're going to need your squad for that. But as lacking that we are, it's going to be good that we're getting guys like Rogic coming back. Starfelt's not going to be far behind them. Hopefully Julian appears at some point, because we're seriously missing him. But even more so having Starfelt back in, because he's obviously built up that kind of rapport with Carter Vickers in defence. That'll be good. And then you've got the guys that are there. So you're hoping that you're not going to get any injuries, and that you're going to be able to maintain that form through that December period, which it's going to be tough. Make no bones about it. But hopefully we can do our best and continue to put the points on the table. And then obviously with the Zombies coming in January, that's a massive game. So we're going to need to be at full strength for that. If we're going to take that game, which I'm sure that we will. But again, there's games to be played before that, so we need maximum points as far as I'm concerned.
Aye, I'm not even going to ask you right now about the Celtic and Rangers game on the 2nd. It's too far away. And whatever we talk about now, I'm sure events will change in the course of time to alter the landscape before the 2nd of January. Anyway, right. I wanted to mention to the viewers that I was at the Glasgow Hydro last night. It was a sellout crowd of 10,000 Celtic supporters, and it was an audience with Henrik Larsson, John Hartson and Chris Sutton. So they were the main 3 guests for the focus of the evening. And the host was Graham Hunter. If you don't know Graham Hunter, he's Scottish. And he is like a La Liga expert. I think he lives in Spain, but yeah, La Liga expert. I think he's actually an Aberdeen fan, because Chris Sutton, halfway through the night, he called him out for being an Aberdeen fan. He actually said, "You wrote a disparaging article about me as a player a number of years ago, and I've never forgotten about it." And it all just got really, really tense. And then he said to the crowd, "But he's an Aberdeen fan. He likes sheep." Graham didn't know where to look at that point.
Good.
But to kind of kick off the evening, Graham Spears came out, and he brought out Martin O'Neill, and Martin O'Neill got a massive round of applause. And by the way, the majority of the punters were steaming that night. I was sober because I actually had to drive there and back. I didn't want to get a taxi and wait about for ages in the cold. But the majority of people were absolutely steaming. At times, I wanted to turn around to the punters and tell them to shut the fuck up because I wanted to actually hear the players talk. But some of like, as soon as Martin Neal started talking, he might mention a player's name. Well, he did that in several times during the speech, but he would mention like Henrik Larsson's name, because obviously we know we're going to get Henrik Larsson coming on, but as soon as he mentions Larsson's name, people just start singing Henrik Larsson, Henrik Larsson, and then you've got fucking like 5 verses of that before people like calm down again, and you're like, right, okay. It's just going to be one of the nights. But Martin was great. He kind of he was like the main talker of the kind of the ex Celtic representatives. Graham, of course, Graham Hunter was doing the hosting, but Martin was great, telling a lot of anecdotes, and it was really about the nostalgia of Seville when he was talking to the players for Hearts and Larsson and Sutton. He did a wee background for both of them, a brief background, but it was mostly about nostalgia for Seville. For me personally, I still find it difficult to talk about Seville. I've never watched the game back again. Obviously, you've seen the goals, the Larsson goals, but I do find it difficult to talk about it. But there I am. I'm in for like 2 hours worth of fucking talking about Seville. So I better get strapped in. Sutton, by the way, Sutton for me is the most entertaining of the Celtic players in terms of like speaking to an audience. I'd been at an exhibition a couple of years ago when it was him and Neil Lennon, and he's very, very entertaining. We know his dry sense of humour. I think that comes across very well. So he was probably the most entertaining. You've got Henrik. Like for me, Henrik doesn't interview very well because he's very kind of like lethargic in his speech, but everybody was hanging on to every word of Henrik Larsson as he was talking.
Did they come across as if he was stoned?
You never know. You never know with Henrik, unless he's on the pitch.
He likes a doobie. He likes a doobie.
Does he? Eh? Oh well. Did he pick up that habit for Holland then?
Probably.
Aye. Well, they were all taking the piss at each other. Hartson was taking the piss at Sutton, and Larsson was taking the piss at all of them. The only person who nobody takes the piss out of is Henrik. Henrik, like even Martin O'Neill got it to an extent, but Henrik is just the untouchable one. But we're talking about themselves, their careers. Henrik, for example, he was talking about it was difficult coming from Holland, where he was having a bad spell, and they talked about Wim Jansen and Dr. Joe Venglos as well. Rest in peace. And he said that him and his family will always be grateful to Glasgow and the Celtic fans for making them welcome. He said that Glasgow is their home. So Sutton, he was talking about his background, a few mentions of Alan Shearer, which got the crowd booing, and Hartson, he was talking about what it was like as an Arsenal youngster. I think he was the most expensive teenager for Arsenal at the time, signed by like George Graham. And then talking about Seville and shit like that and going through some of the games, Hartson scored that goal against Celta Vigo. So although we lost that game, that away goal for us ensured that we went through the next round. And that was the first time that we'd secured European football after Christmas for about 20 years. And Hartson said that was, whenever he gets asked what his most memorable goal is, he talks about that one for Celtic against Celta Vigo. Although he does talk about the one that he scored against Liverpool, the 2-0 game at Anfield. He does talk about that, but certainly Celtic Vigo goal was the most important one for him.
I was going to say that. I'm surprised that he never mentioned that the Liverpool goal was his favourite, because I think that's probably everybody's favourite John Hartson goal, is the goal at Anfield, because it was a belter.
Aye. Graham Hunter did ask Martin O'Neill about the half-time team talk, and Graham Hunter said, I've heard that you basically told the players this is Anfield, everybody loses here. The Scouse mob always expect to win. Are you guys going to fold again? Are you going to actually fucking show them who's boss, who the better players are, and go out and win this match? And Martin at that point said, look, it was too long ago. I genuinely can't remember. I certainly never swore, and if I did swear, then I would have went to confession afterwards. And Sutton spoke about the Blackburn game and about the comments that were made by I don't know if it was Graham Souness about, because at Parkhead we didn't perform very well, although I think we still won the game 1-0 at Parkhead in the first leg, and Graham Souness came out with the comments that it was men against boys, that the Blackburn were the better team, but then in the away leg down to Ewood Park it is at Blackburn, and Chris Sutton said that even in the bus coming down, they passed by a, a, a pub kind of near the ground, and that this was about 2 hours before kick-off, and it was just full with Celtic fans, but inside and out, just filled with Celtic fans, and they just had that feeling. It's one of those times where you just know you're going to win. And he said when they were out training before kick-off, all the Celtic fans were out in their numbers, out in their colours, and they just felt so confident that they were going to win. And then obviously he got that goal. He scored from a corner, I believe it was, and then Henrik scored that wee chip over. Was it Brad Friedel, the goalkeeper for Blackburn back then?
Yeah, Brad Friedel, yep.
Aye. So, and that was Sutton obviously playing against his former club. Aye, and then they had the interval. A guy came out and he did some Celtic tunes with the guitar. Everybody was singing at that point, and everybody was well steaming by half time. And then after the interval, they brought out the remaining guests, and that was try to remember everybody. I don't want to do anyone a disservice. Murdo McLeod was there, although he never actually spoke. He sat next to Martin O'Neill. He had a microphone in his hand, but it went to no use at all. He never got a word in. But you had Johan Mjalby, you had McNamara, you had Petrov, you had Thompson, you had Simon Donnelly, who I think was part of organising it. By the way, this was actually due for March 2020. So I'd bought these tickets way before COVID started, and it just get pushed back and pushed back. Simon Donnelly was there, and of course you had Lubo too. Lubo, like the round of applause that he got, you know what I mean? And like every time, like like a Celtic player would talk, the fans would just start singing their name, and you'd have to wait a good 5 minutes for them to die down and stuff like that. And obviously, the cliched phrase about Lubo was, you don't know what's his best foot, left foot or right foot, and that get thrown in. Martin O'Neill was talking about it. I think Martin O'Neill actually had a couple of glasses of red wine in the interval, because when he came out, he just started taking the piss out of everybody. He was telling Sutton to shut the fuck up. In fact, that was another comment that Sutton made. Like, he started off the night and he was saying it's nice to be welcomed at this venue. He said, especially after getting knocked back from Rangers, it's like getting knocked back from Aldi. It's that fucking sad. You know what I mean? But aye, it was a great night.
So was there no revelations for the night? No, anybody came out with any stories that you'd never heard before? Because I know you mentioned Alan Thompson was there. He's obviously kind of broadcasting stuff. His new book. We'll touch on that a wee minute. But no big revelations there, any big comments.
Hartson was taking a piss out of Thompson, so he said that whenever he started training with Thompson at Parkhead or at Celtic Park, Thompson, like, during training, he might score a great goal, and he would turn around and do DK, and Hartson would be bewildered by, what the fuck does he mean, DK? And it would happen again, like in another training session or maybe in a football game, and Thompson would do something like, because I had a wand of a left foot, score crackers of goals, and he'd be like, DK. And Hartson was really confused. And one time he went up to him in the dressing room and he said, Tomo, what do you mean by DK? What does that mean exactly? And Tomo says, different class.
DK?
Aye.
Oh no.
I don't think there was any groundbreaking revelationary tales that they told. It was all about the banter. It was just about reminiscing. And Martin was on fine form. I really have to say, he was on fine form. Aye. So it was a great night. Nostalgia. And you don't know, but especially I know that the age difference between them and the Lions is massive age difference. But after seeing some of the Lions pass away in recent years, you cannot appreciate these moments whenever you see them all together. And Even Petrov got a massive round of applause. The reception he got for everything that he's been through with leukemia and stuff like that. Great to see what the man is doing, and he's a really good speaker as well. Very, very articulate. He was really enjoying himself. So yeah, whenever you get these moments for Celtic supporters to go and attend, you should seize the moment, because you don't know when it'll be the last time you see your heroes. So yeah, sorry if I stumbled on for too
No,
long with that one.
absolutely
But
not, mate. No, it's always good to hear that kind of perspective when you get these events, as you say. Like, the players have all left the club years ago. They're on different positions. I mean, they're on different areas of the world. So it's great when you can get people like that back into the one room and hear stories like that. It's always brilliant. But I mean, harking back to Thompson, I know he's as I say, he's publicising his book that's out just now. And he's been giving away kind of snippets here and there to the media. I won't actually say their name because they're scum. Actually sounds like scum. But he has divulged his version of events from the so-called shame game, the one where we were playing Rangers at Celtic Park, the one that led to all the controversy, the Scottish Parliament inquest, this and that. So it was basically the one where Ali McCoist and Neil Lennon had the set to the touchline after the game, led to a big malaise, this kind of thing. So it's always been questioned what McCoist said to Lennon. Everybody's had their own different ideas and opinions. Lennon himself has turned around and says in the past, he says, I'm not going to tell anybody until such and such a time. But Thompson's, well, his version, so Thompson is he's overruling that, and he's telling the world because it's in his book. So he's basically said that it all stemmed from El Hadji Diouf. Now, some of the younger watchers might not know who that is, but he was basically the absolute antithesis of scummery as a football player. You know, he was spitting on supporters, he was spitting on ball boys back in the day. But Thompson says that him and Lennon, who was the coaching staff at that time, Mialby as well, had played against Diouf when he was playing for Liverpool years ago. So he said that Rangers only signed him at the time that they played because it was to wind Celtic up. So during the game, Diouf, the absolute scumbag that he was just running about, kicking people, diving, just cheating in general. And I think Lennon and co had a couple of shouts out to him, you know, a good few choice words. I think at one point as well, he says that Diouf had a kick out at the physio at half time, something like that. But anyway, sorry, on to the end of the match. And Thompson's words are that Ali McCoist basically said to Lennon, don't you ever fucking speak about any of my players like that again. To which he says Lennon retorted, they're not even your fucking players, you're just the assistant. And that's apparently what started off all the malaise. But Alan Thompson says that he was close enough to hear this. I don't want to do Alan Thompson any disservice, but I think he's talking shite because you look at the video.
Parkhead is rather noisy, especially on a Celtic and Rangers game.
You look at the videos and Alan Thompson's kind of walking away. You can actually see him kind of start to come out the picture, and McCoist is actually whispering into Lennon's ears. So if that's what he said, and if Thompson says that he heard that, that's fair enough if that's his version of offence. But I can't think that that's the case. It's got to have been something more sinister than that for me.
It's a strange one. I'm not suggesting for a second that he would completely fabricate that just to make his book seem a wee bit more fleshed out. Not saying that for a second. Maybe Lennon told him afterwards what was said. I don't know, but certainly it's something that Lennon, probably a secret that he will take to his grave. Alan McCoist has never divulged it. Yeah, we've got Alan Thompson, who was maybe a couple of meters away from the scene of the crime. As I said, at a Celtic and Rangers game, right at full-time whistle, when the noise levels would have been massive because Celtic supporters are just cheering a result. But yeah, he heard it very, very clearly. Who knows?
Well, this is the thing. I mean, if you've got people in the Celtic camp or guys like they're like was there last night, you know, who are maybe friendly with Neil Lennon. For my take, it appears that Thompson's went off course and he's divulged this, whether it be true, whether or not. And if Lennon's turning around saying, I'm not telling you, and Thompson's come out and tell a certain newspaper on behalf of publicising his book, there could certainly be a wee bit of animosity there.
By the way, another nugget that I read, sorry for interrupting me, it was the final contract that Alan Thompson had. So he was on a contract and then he was given a 2-year extension. Now this was under Martin O'Neill. Peter Lawwell, of course, at that point was the no, in fact, no. I don't want to say Peter Lawwell. Peter Lawwell came in after when Gordon Strachan came in, I think. But anyway, he was given a 2-year extension. Now, on top of his, what I would imagine was a healthy basic wage. I know that you've been looking at players' pay slips because you came across that one for, who was it, Kamara?
Oh, that's right. Aye.
See, I know that you'll be interested.
Diamanti Kamara, I found his wage slip when I was kind of rifling through the lockers when I was on a Celtic tour back in I think it might have been 2006, 2007, something like that. So that was quite strange to find an actual wage slip from Mr. Diamanti Kamara. Thank you.
Well, this one for Tomo would have been jaw-dropping. So what he said is that on top of his basic, he had an appearance fee, which we've heard of that. You know, it's a familiar thing to football fans, an appearance fee. But the appearance fee was £10,000 per game. Yeah. So what he said was that whenever Strachan took over,
so is that on top of his wages?
On top of, yeah.
Wow.
10 grand,
wow.
10 grand.
Jesus.
How do you spend that?
Wow, that's fucking hell.
How do you spend that type of money? You know what I mean? And like as he actually said in his book, well, and the transcript from the book, if Celtic had 2 games per week, 20 grand. So he was approached by Gordon Strachan, and he said Gordon Strachan kind of made him, got the impression that his wage was too much, and that Celtic wanted him off his books. And he said that his exit from Celtic Park was not the way that he would want to go out, as much as the way it was that Sutton was treated in the final stages of his career. But yeah, Tomo openly admitted that was the best ever contract he'd been on. And to be honest, man, if somebody's stupid enough to put that down in writing that that's what you're going to get, then poof, you're going to take it.
That's unbelievable, and that'd have been back in 2003. You know what I mean? So that's some amount of cash. But see, when you think about that era, Gav, I mean, obviously Martin O'Neill took us to the UEFA Cup final, and then the following season there was literally zero investment. I think he was allowed to sign David Fernandez for about £1 million for Livingston, and everybody was like, "Come on, this is where you should be. You should be building on your team. You should be going out and signing better players than what we've got now, or at least players of that kind of quality." And then when Lawwell came in, and eventually Martin O'Neill left and Gordon Strachan came in, and you saw an almost kind of asset stripping kind of phase at Celtic. And you saw guys like Sutton leaving to go to, I think it was Birmingham. He went to. Thompson just kind of disappeared off the radar, went to Leeds. Big Bobo as well. Big Bobo hardly got a sniff. A Gat, you know, all the guys for the Seville team, the kind of big players, they all just seem to disappear. And I tell you what, see when I hear the figures that you've just spouted out, it actually gives me a different perspective now, because at the time and all through my time since, I've always thought, right, the board were probably a bit of a disgrace for the way that they treated players, but when you hear contracts like that, you're like, well, maybe they had a slight point, you know what I mean? But aye, listen, it was shocking the way that these guys were treated, because they gave us a great historical experience and brought us up to levels that we hadn't been at for many a year. But aye, whoever agreed to the contracts probably was taken away in the back of a van.
I think it was quite symptomatic of the personnel that Martin O'Neill likes to gather for his representatives on the park. He likes a team of men You know, he's not really one for maybe bringing through youth. And I think maybe after the Celtic players having done what they've done and Seville and stuff like that, they were absolute heroes. You know what I mean? They were living legends at that point. And yeah, it's you would imagine whenever you're doing that success for Celtic, then your agents are going to be pushing for those type of contracts, and we certainly gave them those contracts. But if you're going to make your bed, you have to lie on it. And the changing of the guard, we brought in Peter Lawwell as the chief executive at that point, and as you said, Gordon Strachan, his mandate was to asset strip. You know, and I don't think Rangers did that very well, and that's why they found themselves in such a rather bad situation. They fucking died, you know.
I'm pretty sure we paid the face painter, you know, and the flower girl and.
Aye, mate. I was going to ask you one kind of final question before we wrap it up for tonight. You all right for that?
Yes, of course.
Excellent, and I hope the viewers are okay with that too.
Right,
anyway.
Hope it's nothing personal like you.
No. Right, transfer rumours. What you can wrap up the transfer rumours? So, the two Japanese guys, Ryo Hitate. So, we've already spoken about him, but I'll just kind of give a brief summary. 24 years old, he's a left back, plays in Japan, he's a champion. He just won the league with Kawasaki Frontal. So it looks like we're going to get him on a Bosman. If we don't get him on a Bosman, it'll be a very cut price deal, because his contract is due up in the next couple of weeks, and we are able to register people in January. However, I want to kind of ask your thoughts. Now, I've been watching videos of the guy. He is extremely right-footed. Okay, he is a wee small guy, as you would expect from, if you're being stereotypical about people, footballers from Japan. Not that the tallest guy in the world. I was kind of bordering on racism. Right, he's vertically challenged. Okay, there's a lot of tall people in the Japanese population. He is not the representative of that. Variety is a spice of life, guys. Okay, so that's my. Right, I'm trying to talk my way out of it.
Right.
Anyway,
you've redeemed yourself. You've redeemed yourself.
He's vertically challenged. So, do we need another small fullback? If he does the business, then aye. Okay, now I'm not saying he's going to be shite. I think he looks a player, and he might well be a success. I just want to point out that he doesn't have much height, and he's extremely right-footed. I'm trying to remember of. Now, I know that we do like our inverted fullbacks, but maybe this is taking it to the extreme. A left back who doesn't have a left foot. Now, Bosman, aye, and let's add to the left back lottery. Let's bring in another person, like a wee bit more chaos. So you've watched his videos. I know that you have. What do you think of that? About the lack of height, kind of maybe exposing ourselves a little bit more at set pieces, and the fact that he's always going to have to turn inside, or whenever you expect him to cross it with his left foot, he's going to cut back again on his right. Would that sort of thing piss you off?
It would if we were going to play him as a left back, Gav, but I'm led to believe that we are actively signing him to be a midfielder.
Who's led you to believe that?
I cannot reveal these sources.
Right. Okay. So,
well, if you look at his videos as the bastion of YouTube scouting that is, he very rarely. I know some places state that he's a left back, but he rarely plays at left back. He's more of a. He almost looks like to be like more of a box to box midfielder, which is something that we are really crying out for. He's always direct attacking, and as I say, I've been told that he's definitely not coming as a left back.
Right, Paddy.
So
if you're wrong,
if I am wrong, when we beat the Zombies at Celtic Park on the 2nd, I will do that podcast nude.
What we'll do is in fact, you can do that as long as your camera is fucking like torso.
Do you know what? Do you know what? If we win, I'll probably do it anyway, right? Because I'll probably I'll be in here and I'll be absolutely pissed and I'll be celebrating. So there's one to look out for. I hope you've got your Zoom buttons at the ready.
I hope your roof doesn't blow off again and the neighbours will get a good peek of that.
Mate, the roof will blow off when we win. I'll blow the roof off.
It will. You just don't promise what you'll be wearing that day. The final question I had, by the way, we will do a wee... Yes, thank you, Joseph, for listening to this, because been rambling and talking a lot of shite for a while now, so thank you for that. And I'm actually on the water as well, would you believe? So Joseph has written in, so if the Japanese stop Kyogre playing for his country, will these players be allowed to come over here? Out of the country? That is a good question. So
So
yeah, with the
I'm assuming that's to do with the terms of the current kind of ongoing COVID situation in Japan, because I've heard today that Japan have actually shut their borders because of this new kind of variant, which I'm not particularly interested in. But in terms of us signing players for Japan, that could possibly be a wee bit of a stumbling block for us.
True.
For getting them in as early as possible. I don't think they will have any problems in actually signing the guys, but if we're signing, what's his face, Hatate for January, you know, he may maybe delayed a wee bit, but I hope not, and I hope he comes with his compatriot, who's
Maeda, yeah, and hopefully the work permit thing doesn't delay things any further. So the other thing I wanted to ask about was Maeda. So he is 24 years old, a little bit more, well, yeah, same age as Hatate. So finished the top goal scorer in the J League, 23 goals. He was the runner-up to Hatate's team, so came second in the league. He's rumoured to cost about £2 to £3 million. I wanted to ask you, and again, you've seen the videos of him. Is he going to be a squad player? Because Jota, nobody's knocking him off his perch. Forrest, surely Forrest at this age as a 30-year-old winger, with the experience that he's got, that he brings to the team, surely he's not going to be knocked off his perch unless you bring in like a quality player. So, Maeda, is he going to be a squad player? And does it spell the possible end for a Mikey Johnson or a Dembele? However, I will say Dembele's contract is up at the end of this season. So what's your thoughts? Maeda, a squad player, and who kind of loses out? Who goes down the pecking order?
Oh, that's a good question.
I know, mate.
Maeda, out of the two of them, and out of all the kind of rumoured signings, Maeda's the one that I'm absolutely desperate to see. He looks lightning quick. He's talking. He's the kind of champion of all the kind of pressing stats in Japan. I think he's something like 94% of pressing in every single game, something along the lines of that. He just looks an.
You need to calm it down with these stats, mate. You're going to overdose in stats.
Mate, I'm trying to make myself make myself look relevant here. But no. When you look at stats like that, and that's the kind of the philosophy that Ange is wanting to put into the team. That you heard it for the videos. We don't stop; they'll stop, because he wants the other guys to be pressing and putting the other teams under pressure. So if we're going to get a guy like Maeda in, who is lightning quick, rapid, and presses every single defender that he's got, that's something that we're severely lacking. And if he can score goals, that's absolutely brilliant. Is he going to be a squad player? I genuinely don't know, because it depends where Ange sees him playing in the squad. I don't know if he wants to bring him in as a striker, a right-sided forward, have him on the left-hand side cutting in. I don't know. But we certainly need players in the squad to beef up the squad. We talked about squad depth earlier on. It's definitely something that we need to do up front, because Mikey Johnson for me is just not going to be good enough. Dembele's never going to get a sniff. He's going to be away at the end of the season, as far as I'm concerned. So it's time to bring in new blood, fresh blood, and if we can get guys that are just totally full of energy and buzz, brilliant. As well as I know it doesn't really bother us that much, but if we're going to be getting Hatate in for a minimum fee. And I think Maeda's rumoured to be coming in for less than £1 million.
Oh,
that's
really?
going to be. I think so. Even if it's £1 million, £1.5 million, it's looking like really, really good business, and it's really good as well that Ange is getting Ange type players in, i.e., guys for the Far East. You know, guys that kind of wouldn't be on the radar unless we had the Ange in the door.
Aye. They could form their own wee kind of K-pop group, couldn't they? Maeda, Hatate, and Furuhashi. Saying that's Korean, and these guys are Japanese, so yeah, probably a different taste in music. Yeah.
Gav's, you're certainly not going to be winning any PC awards tonight, mate.
I'm talking about music. Aye, right. So good question. And if McGinty is listening and he heard you right off, Mikey Johnson and Dembele. He's not going to sleep tonight, man. He will not sleep. He'll be texting you right now after this episode, pulling you up for that. But I agree. Dembele's still a boy. He looks like a child. So I wouldn't renew his contract.
And as Joseph says there as well, Joseph Agnew, yes, need someone who can score more goals, absolutely. And Ajeti, I think, is going to be out the door. He's just he's a bird in the new. He's an empty jersey as far as I'm concerned, so he can go.
Yeah. 5 million.
I know, mate. 10 million between him and Barkas. That's barking. But if you can get somebody in like Maeda to add to the goal scoring threats, along with hopefully like say Jackie Makis coming into some form, getting fitness, getting a wee bit more in the team as well, it'll take the burden off of Kyogre, because Kyogo's basically been asked to go and score the goals himself, other than what Jota's bringing in, or basically Kyogo and Jota.
We're going to have to rotate Furuhashi, especially in December with all these games coming up, because it's worth pointing out that he's already played at least half a season in Japan. Because their season started differently to ours, before ours. He's going to feel jaded in December, even more so than our players. So we're going to have to rotate Giamakis. He's going to have to step up to the plate. Fuck knows how he's going to go on, man. But I really, really want him to succeed. You don't want him to fail. I hope he gets his confidence. He needs to get it for somewhere. But yeah, we need to do without these players, Hatate and the Maedas. We need to do without them up until at least January. And if we are allowed to bring them in January, hopefully we can. Hopefully the COVID legislation passes between like the likes of Southeast Asia and the UK. Hopefully things kind of die down and you're able to come in, whether it be on professional visas or not, I don't know. But we're going to need to beef up the squad, mate. I love talking about transfer rumours, and I'm sure the closer we get to January, you know what I mean, there'll be even more names coming out as the Brazilian boy that we need a defensive mid, I think, anyway. But food for thought. There'll be plenty more. So we'll wrap it up for tonight then, Paddy. I think we've probably said enough. What is that? An hour and 20 odd minutes, man. Christ almighty.
Well, thanks to the viewers that have been watching along. It's hopefully we've kept you entertained and no kept you away from your dinner.
Indeed, aye. Right, okay. So the usual. If you're watching on Spotify, good for you. If you're watching on YouTube, then please subscribe. Please hit the thumbs up. Please leave a comment. We love that shit. And we're on Twitter. I think it's the Jungle Gym Pod. We're on Facebook. Probably something similar to that as well. So it's
very informative, Gav. Thank you very much.
Right, I've enjoyed it. Paddy, I'm sure you've enjoyed it as well. So let's fucking wrap up. Excellent. And so we'll wrap up tonight. We've got Hearts on Thursday. We'll probably try and do a pre or a post, whatever floats our boat. But hail, everybody. See you later.